Hey there, I'm Claudia Coffey, and this summer we are taking the Best Bet podcast on the road. I am coming to you from the new southern anchor of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. This is the soon-to-be completed Horse Soldier Farms in Somerset, Kentucky, a $200 million masterpiece built by Green Berets on a mission to bring world-class spirits to the heartland. From a viral video to the planning of an epic America 250 celebration, we are covering it all, from the rebirth of a community to the opening of a legend. So grab a glass. I'm taking you behind the scenes of Lake Cumberland 250. I'm kicking things off in the heart of Somerset in Urban Stillhouse, the legacy of Horse Soldier Bourbon. It's industrial, it's elegant, it's proof that a big vision can change a small town. I'm sitting down with Somerset Mayor Alan Keck to talk about his bold pitch heard round the bourbon world. Mayor, thank you so much for catching up with us again.
Yeah.
A lot's
Welcome
been
back.
happening. Since the last time I was here, a lot's been happening.
We're busy.
You're very busy. Take me back to 2018 when you were a new mayor with a big vision.
Yeah.
How did bourbon become the centerpiece for how you would revitalize Somerset?
It's interesting where we're sitting. So 2018 is actually, the election's still going. And in September of that year, I was in an empty building just to my right. And brick background, I was talking to the then tourism director, and she had done a fantastic job. We're just kind of talking about how we could elevate things, how we could leverage our great assets and do more. And I said, by the way, Carolyn, I want to bring a bourbon distillery to Somerset. And she kind of looked at me funny. And after that video got launched, I got actually a lot of criticism. People said, Alan, we've only been a wet county or wet city, 6 years or whatever it had been. You're bringing a bourbon distillery here? I'd won the primary, so everybody thought it was risky. But the vision was simple. We have lake tourism. Everybody knows how special Lake Cumberland is, right? It's our competitive advantage. But with the bourbon boom, I thought, how unique would it be if we could marry lake tourism and bourbonism and bring them together? And so, we announced it to the world, if you would. I won the election, and I didn't want to wait until I actually took office. So, we went in November. We're waiting until January, and we filmed this video. I called it our bourbon pitch video. And it was overlooking Lake Cumberland, but it kind of selling that dream of, let's bring the Bourbon Trail south, where the people coming up from the south can start their experience, or if you're coming from the north, you finish there, really unique. And we sent it everywhere. Anybody that would listen, I sent that video to, and I got lots of, pats on the head. Good idea, kiddo, but no thanks. Until, which I think this podcast where we learned of American Freedom Distillery and Horse Soldier Bourbon.
Tell me about how that shot in the dark video made its way to connect with the podcast, which eventually what the video and the pitch ends up in the inbox of the Horse Soldier team.
Yeah. A good buddy of mine, he was listening to Pat McAfee, probably before McAfee kind of blew up. And he knew about the video. He was on our economic development board, and he said, Mayor, you've got to send these guys this video. I mean, they're war heroes. What a perfect fit. We're a patriotic community. I mean, if you look around, you're going to see murals, the American flag. You got a Veterans Park right in the heart of downtown. We're going to celebrate our 250th, which I hope we get to talk about. We love our country. We love our veterans here. And so I agreed with him. I thought, that might soften the blow if maybe, just maybe, they took interest. There were so many God winks along the way in this journey, and one of them was the video itself. So I knew a lot of their story, but I didn't know that they had some familiarity with the Cumberland River. So on 9/11, these soldiers were doing a training mission, which you'd call downstream from Lake Cumberland on the Cumberland River. So when they got this cold email, they had no idea where Somerset was, and they said, yeah, we had to Google that, but we knew that body of water, and it sent chills up their arms. And they said, you know what, maybe we're going to connect with this guy. We like his vision. So about a month later, they called, and we had a nice chat. And they said, look, 4 or 5 years from now, maybe we'll build. We're kind of a hobby company that is growing faster than we realized it could. We'll stay in touch. A month after that, I get a call, and they said, hey, Mayor, we're in Indiana. Could you carve out an hour of your time today? We'd like to stop by your little city and meet you. Well, they ended up spending 4 hours. And that was the beginning of not just shared values, but a shared journey together that's been incredible.
At that time, you had to know that other cities, states, communities bigger than yours were vying for Horse Soldier Bourbon. But what was it about this particular story that you thought, in your gut, we've got this.
Yeah.
We can win this.
I'll go back to the shared values. I mean, it was just almost instant camaraderie. I felt like they felt at home, that they almost wanted to find a way to make it work instead of really looking elsewhere. They did. They got pushed to the other big markets on the trail. They were being recruited in Indiana and Ohio, and then they already had a beautiful restaurant and sort of headquarters in Tampa. They could have blazed their own trail and had the distillery there. They knew they wanted to be in Kentucky, but they just weren't sure where. And over the span of 8 or 9 months, we pushed and recruited and leveraged all that we could and got them to say yes.
So what was it like finding out that they had chose Somerset while they're in New York City?
We had big plans. I had a lot of my team there. And that morning, their owner and founder said, "Hey, you're going to go to dinner with my wife and I. Want you and Tiffany come to dinner with us?" And I said, "Well, Meredith has all these plans. That's his daughter." And he said, "No, we'll deal with that. You're coming to dinner." And I remember 2 things very specifically about it. We prayed before the meal, which was unique in a business setting. That was special to me because my faith is very important. And then secondly, he said, "Hey, Mayor, we're going to build in your town." And it was, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Now, little did I know it would turn into what it's turned into, right? We were thinking maybe $20 or $30 million facility. And here we are several years later and over $100 million, 200-acre farm. Just incredible.
You had to be overwhelmed when you heard that.
Yeah.
But then how does that compare to being able to tell your community that folks, Horse Soldier Bourbon chose Somerset and it's coming here?
What a special day that was. So we wanted to do it in a way that would allow them to tell some of their story, but also for folks to feel connected with them. And so they made that announcement from inside our council chambers. It was absolutely a packed house. And usually if a council chambers is a packed house, it's a bad day, right? You got a lot of frustrated constituents. In this instance, everybody was there, was upbeat, they were happy, they were ready to celebrate. Now that journey hasn't been perfect from there, but another moment I'll never forget, they have this giant inflatable Horse Soldier bottle. And so that was probably the one and only time you'll ever see this giant bottle of liquor in front of the city hall. But I was here for it. We had a great time, and the community celebrated alongside of us.
At the time, probably everybody's thinking, what has the mayor gotten us into?
I think so.
What is coming into our community? Have you had to kind of calm concerns at all and kind of reset expectations for what this would be and truly kind of how, trust me on this is going to set us up for the future, and how other rural communities are going to look at us forever, and maybe it's going to lift them up too?
Well, I think the part I'm proud of is our team told our story unapologetically. I've said that for years, but by telling our story, we got to hear and learn theirs, and then we started to share it alongside of them. And so now we want to be the home, the community of Horse Soldier Bourbon. But it started with them kind of falling in love with Somerset. Mark Nooch, one of the soldiers, he says Somerset, Kentucky is America. And I love telling that Heartland story. I love challenging other mayors and other community leaders to tell their Heartland story. Because it's special. Everybody doesn't have that. And I think it's what made our country great. And I think it's really where we can have a resurgence as a nation is sort of by being that unapologetically proud of who we are and not apologizing for what we're not.
Horse Soldier Farms will come and officially open in July. Urban Stillhouse, where we are right now, came first. Mm-hmm. This gorgeous space really has set the tone for what Somerset can be. Yeah. Talk about how pleased you were with how this whole project developed and what it has become as kind of the first piece of what Somerset is on its path for.
Well, look, the Urban Stillhouse is an elevated experience. When you come here, you're going to get great food, you're going to get great service, you're going to sort of experience community. That's what I wanted. I mean, they knew this would be a challenging market for how nice this is, but they said yes still. That's the beautiful part of this story, because I mentioned to a lot of their team, our residents will probably only go to your distillery once or twice. And while we're thrilled that it's here, it really won't elevate our quality of life. It elevates our stature in Kentucky. It puts us on the map with the Bourbon Trail, and we'll have hundreds of thousands of people come in. But shouldn't the rest of our town get to experience what I have, is your unbelievable radical hospitality and your elevated service? And so they said, you know what, yeah, we should do that, and it has to be downtown. It has to be in that heartbeat. It can't be off the beaten path. It need to be right in the center of town where kind of everything started. And I think now it's challenging others to say, what else is possible then? And that was my vision all along. If we can get a few folks to say yes, then I love the what's next. And I hope that the next leader behind me will say, now what? what's that next 10, 20, 30-year vision that will elevate us and take us to even newer heights.
You mentioned the feeling of excitement that the community has when they come on this town square and they see this beautiful historical building, a building that was historical in nature before, and to have this new life. You're going to get to celebrate with the community this summer for America's 250. Talk about how that came together and how you felt like, wow, with Horse Soldier Bourbon opening and farms, this is a way for our community to really come together and show them how we're stepping forward.
Yeah. Well, anybody that knows me and anybody that knows Somerset knows that we have the best team in the state of Kentucky. And they wanted to have a big grand opening. We wanted to do something special to celebrate our country. And so, our tourism professionals, which we've been breaking records every single year, county, city, working together, we said, let's just do something unique. Let's just don't have a day. Why wouldn't we celebrate our country's founding, this anniversary, for a week? And so we put our heads together. They took the idea and ran with it. We're going to have events downtown. We're going to have events on the farm. We're going to have events overlooking the lake. We brought stakeholders together from so many agencies, so many communities. It's the county, it's the city of Burnside, it's county tourism, it's city tourism. It's a collaboration. It really is sort of that spirit of togetherness that's been making all this possible for 7 or 8 years, wrapped up into 10 incredible days. We hope the rest of the state and the rest of the region will come celebrate with us.
Biggest small town celebration.
In the country, right?
Yeah.
And until somebody can challenge me on it, we're going to own that thing.
No, you are. Mayor, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's my privilege.